start streaming, and if I accidentally do it twice, then that's okay. There'll be two separate streams. Let's go ahead and get right into the forecast. So I mentioned that we've got the threat of a severe weather outbreak on Friday, and Friday is definitely going to be our main day. But you notice right now we're looking at our weather radar at 5 p.m. Thursday, which is tomorrow. And well, this is going to give you an idea of how this system is setting up, but also we do have a threat for some storms on Thursday afternoon, evening, into Friday morning. So that's what we're going to be looking at and keeping an eye out for. So let's go forward a little bit, and you can see the low pressure starts to develop. That surface low develops as this big system, and this is the one that was impacting California over the last couple of days. This is a pattern we've seen multiple times this year, and we're seeing it again. This is going to be one of those storms that moves from the west coast to the east coast and causes a lot of issues, and it has already caused plenty of issues in California primarily. You get lots of snow along the Rockies up into Montana, and you start to see that low pressure developing. You'll start to see that spin. So notice there's some thunderstorms here in Texas and Oklahoma. Also even looking at a little bit here, possibly from Nebraska into the Midwest. This is where we're seeing the chance for some strong storms on Thursday. This is not the main event, but I wanted to make sure that you guys know about this because it's what we call kind of almost a conditional threat. There's no guarantee that things are going to set up exactly as they should to produce some severe thunderstorms, but if storms do fire off Thursday afternoon, evening, into Friday morning, this is the places where they would be highlighted in green. And also you could see any type of severe weather. You could see damaging winds, you could see some hail, and you could even see a tornado. So that first risk area stretches from, north central Texas through central Oklahoma. This includes Oklahoma City, Tulsa, almost to Missouri. It goes through Kansas, Wichita, kind of near Kansas City, but not quite. And then that northeastern section there of Nebraska and southeast South Dakota. You could see some strong storms. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the storms that we see on weather radar, Texas sort of into the Oklahoma area. And you can see that this is 6 o'clock. Some storms are trying to develop metro, not, but you could get a few warnings. Go into the overnight, you'll start to see some more developing. By Friday morning, you're going to see Oklahoma City, maybe even up into Kansas. It's not a slam dunk severe weather event on Thursday. Once again, Friday's the big day, but you need to be weather aware of that threat because, if something happens to get going and really taps into that Gulf moisture, that warmth, that instability that we're seeing, you could have some damage. To be aware. Secondary area that we're watching is kind of Nebraska into southeast South Dakota. And once again, it's not but we are picking it up. The weather radar is picking up that potential to develop kind of later in the day. And this would be probably around 10, 11 o'clock in these areas. I think it's going to be a little cool possibly for severe weather to develop, but you could see some action and you just need to keep an eye on things. Now, Friday is the day. I've been saying that the whole time, and I really want to talk about what's going on because this is kind of a traditional springtime severe weather event that we're potentially looking at, and this is going to be a big deal for some folks, possibly. We're going to be looking at potentially really potent severe thunderstorms that produce a wide range of hazards from damaging winds, tornadoes. This could be a tornado outbreak, and also we could see some hail with this. Now, widespread rain totals are going to be about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, which may not seem like much. Just remember that with some of those stronger storms and heavier downpours, you could see some localized flash flooding. The biggest concerns, though, are going to be damaging winds and tornadoes on Friday. Hail, however, is going to be a threat as well. And anyone from Dallas up through Milwaukee, that's a huge area potentially for severe thunderstorms. Now, you notice we have these different categories for severe weather. We have marginal, slight, and enhanced risks on this map. That may change a little bit You might see some upgrades as we head into tomorrow and Friday. But right now, let's focus on the enhanced area. This kind of goes through and kind of crosses by Nashville. It includes the western half of Tennessee. It includes Memphis. This includes Little Rock. This includes a lot of Arkansas. Up through, St. Louis into Illinois. This includes portions of Iowa, Des Moines. And, this means that warm, moist air from the Gulf is surging pretty far to the north. So you're going to see spring-like severe weather because, well, you know what? It is going to be, the very end of March. This is going to be March 31st on Friday, and this is the time of year where things start to get going. So this is going to be a springtime severe weather outbreak, and this orange area is going to be the focus where you're more likely to see those strong, severe thunderstorms. You're going to be more likely to see tornadoes in this area. You're going to be more likely to see damaging winds. You're going to be more likely to see hail. And what we're going to be looking at is just this system getting going as we head into Friday. And take a closer look at what the weather radar is showing to get more resolution, I should say, more detail in our weather radar as we get closer to this event. So this is 1 a.m. and notice it's pretty warm at 1 a.m. It's 71 in Dallas. It's, 59 in St. Louis on Friday. And temperatures will continue to warm. Now, Nashville, you're looking at some morning convection, and this is the case as well up into the Midwest and Oklahoma City, even in Memphis. Now, that can sometimes lessen the threat for severe weather, getting, morning convection, morning showers, and thunderstorms, but that's not a guarantee. That's something we hope will happen because that could lessen the severe threat, but it's not a guarantee. And if you get that rain and breaks and you get some more, heating going, you get those dew, it's not going to make that much of a difference. By noon, you're really starting to see that swirl there. That's what we call the surface low. And a lot of times that's where you can see, some supercells developing. And those are storms that are by themselves. They can spin and they are going to be more likely to produce strong tornadoes. Now, you can have tornadoes in any of the lines that develop on Friday, but you're also going to see that threat of supercells, and that's a big deal. That's something we're going to be watching really carefully as we get closer to Friday, just because supercells are more likely to produce tornadoes. They're not the only storms that produce tornadoes, but they are more likely to produce large and violent tornadoes. That's why we always pay really close attention when a model is showing supercell development. So you get that surface low winding up, really getting going. There is a winter component to this. If you're behind this in the cold air, you're going to get some snow. It's going to be, kind of a rough day in the Minneapolis area if you're trying to travel because you're looking at, some rain and then possibly snow on top of that for a lot of folks. So, this has a winter component to it. So go to weatherandradar.com or click on your Weather and Radar app to read more about that. But notice how many folks are seeing thunderstorms. This is stretching from northern Louisiana up through Tennessee, all the way up into the Midwest. Chicago, looking at severe thunderstorms. So it's a big event in that it's going to cover a big area. And this really gets going Friday afternoon into Friday night. Make sure you have a way to get warnings. If you're going to sleep, make sure they're loud enough to wake you up. You see that low pressure winding up, really getting. These storms continue. Hours. By Saturday, though, we are going to start to see things winding down. That severe weather threat decreases significantly as these storms push east into the weekend. Now, let's focus back in on that enhanced risk. So anywhere from Des Moines into St. Louis, into Memphis, even into Nashville, this is going to be pretty close to, Paducah as well. You're going to see this in Paducah and Little Rock. These areas are going to be at the highest risk for severe thunderstorms that, this could be what we call kind of, I would say this is a multi-regional outbreak because this extends all the way through, parts of the Mississippi Valley up into the Midwest. This is a huge area to potentially have severe thunderstorms. But these areas in the orange here, And in the yellow, even, I would say Chicago, Louisville included in this, and looking like even into Huntsville, Alabama, into Lafayette. These folks, you really need to be watching conditions carefully on your weather radar. You have the weather and radar alerts turned. Download the Weather Radar app. Go ahead and do so right now. Also, now's a great time to subscribe to our YouTube channel too if you haven't done that. Go ahead. But what we're looking at is these areas in particular. You're going to be under the biggest threat for severe thunderstorms on Friday. So this is early Friday. This is 2 a.m. and you get that kind of morning convection that I'm hoping will take the oomph out of some of that energy and maybe keep things a little quieter for some people, but that's not a guarantee. And, I don't think it's going to have that much of a difference or provide that much of a difference because you get that gap, that break in the rain, and you just get these thunderstorms really firing up. And you can see this with all the lightning here stretching, from Arkansas, into Missouri even by 11 a.m., by noon. And this just keeps going. It doesn't stop until, the overnight time period into Saturday morning. So we've got quite a few storms in the forecast. We want to make sure that you stay safe, that you stay weather aware, and just keep it here for the latest. We'll have a live blog going Friday, so that way you know the latest information, and we'll be here keeping you up to date. I think I want to focus in on is Friday is just going to be windy, even if you're not with a thunderstorm. Look at that. Even Denver seeing 40-mile-per-hour winds, plus winds. Pretty powerful storm. And basically, I'm just going to focus back in on this severe risk for Friday. It's just a big region where we're going to see intense thunderstorms. And as we go into tomorrow, as we go into Friday morning, our weather radar is going to really be fine-tuning that forecast. The closer you get to the event, the more accurate and detailed, I would say the more detailed the weather radar gets, because it's just, that's how weather models work. But what we're going to be watching for is damaging winds, hail, tornadoes. This could be a tornado outbreak. What I want to focus in on is just making sure you're prepared. So what you should do is be keeping an eye on everything. Turn on your weather and radar app alerts. Now, go ahead and do it so that way you're ready. And just remember the timeline for Friday. It's mainly afternoon into the evening and nighttime hours that we're going to see that threat. Now, the other thing I want you to do is go ahead and review your severe weather safety plan. Where do you go when there's severe weather? Do you go into a hallway closet? Do you go into a bathroom? Do you have a basement? Make sure your entire family knows what to do. And it's also a good time to go ahead and store some water, some clothing in your safe space, and shoes. If you happen to get hit by a tornado, which unfortunately is a reality, remember last Friday we had that terrible outbreak in Mississippi. If you happen to get hit or your home's damaged in a severe thunderstorm or tornado, being able to get out of your home safely is important. And that's why I always say you need to have shoes on, because you're going to be stepping on glass and goodness knows what else. It's, a lot better if you have your shoes on. So keep that in mind. Have those in your safe space or have them on while the weather's going on in your area. The other thing to do is to consider where you're taking shelter. If you live in a mobile home, it's not safe. And what you should do is look for public storm shelters or friends and family who live in a sturdy home and spend some time with them while the storms are ongoing. And you want to make sure you make these decisions before the weather starts to get bad. That is the most important. So hopefully I've given you some good tips. We're going to be fine-tuning this forecast, talking more about the timing as we head into the rest of today and into tomorrow. And we're going to have a live blog while all of this is going on. So please make sure you stay weather aware. Us weather and radar meteorologists are always here to keep you as up to date as possible. And this could be, a pretty widespread event. This is a big area to potentially have severe weather in. So please stay alert, keep it here for the latest, and I will